heard before. And by the way, he did the inscriptions that we'll be giving out later on. And then and that's Don Riley. Please welcome Don Riley. Good evening. I think I better put these on. I thought I wrote big enough, but I guess not. In years gone by, I served as a WCBC president on 5 different occasions and was often called upon to serve at the annual banquet as the master of ceremonies. I thought those days were long gone. However, tonight everything old is new again. You see, I've been invited back to reprise this role on the occasion of the WCBC's tribute to some very special people. Specifically, I will join with you as we all remember and celebrate the institution that came to be known as Candlepin Bowling with Don Gillis. Although tonight's festivities serve to bestow worthy recognition upon the accomplishments of this year's champions on the WCBC Pro Tour, they also provide the vehicle by which we will all be transported on our trip down memory lane. At last, we are availed the opportunity to properly and completely express our reverence and gratitude for the many years of happiness afforded us by our direct or indirect involvement and affiliation with this long-running TV icon. For nearly 38 years, Candlepin Bowling was a Saturday ritual for most of us. It piqued our interest, fattened our wallets, and held captive our unbridled enthusiasm and loyalty. Who would ever have dreamed back on October 4th, 1958, the allegiance and universal appeal this locally produced program would manifest and maintain? Candlepin Bowling nurtured friendships, fans, and favorites. It showcased almost stars, would-be stars, and superstars. Tonight's audience might be termed a cross-section of all of the above. The show was famous for spotlighting the suntan and socks of its sartorial referee, as well as the many varied and technological improvements initiated by its longtime producer and director. It always challenged the memory and the mathematical acumen of its statistician and coordinators, and it forever endeared its congenial and popular host to its millions of faithful viewers, young and old alike. Indeed, we have much to remember and more to applaud. I thank the WCBC for undertaking the task of putting this evening together. It took a lot of effort by a number of dedicated individuals. Particularly, President Paul Wambach and Treasurer Mary Ann Kelly were relentless in their efforts to include all those who made the show what it was. Tonight, their hard work has obviously come to fruition, and we are all again together to share old memories and make new ones. For now, I extend to all of you best wishes for a delicious meal and a fun-filled evening. I'll be back soon to officially launch our journey back to the past, up to the present, and into the future. Thank you for your attention and support. Have a wonderful time. All 58.
Just stay up there, Joanne. Just stay up there.
Don't go far. The third tournament of the year at Vacation Lane Bowling Center in Saco, Maine, with a fantastic score of 1308, once again, Joanne Rosano. You can see why they're 1 and 2. The fourth tournament of the year, the tournament that was dedicated to the memory of Hall of Famer Stacia Zernicke of Webster, was held at the Beverly Bowler Mat in Beverly, Massachusetts, with a winning score of 1305, Nancy Vestal. Okay. The fifth tournament was held at Bowling Acres in Peterborough, New Hampshire. The winning score of 12-16 was bowled by Donna Banzi of Plymouth, Mass., whom I don't believe is here this evening. She is? Oh, okay. Sorry.
So much weight you don't see her anymore.
in the movies. They're all here. Okay. The 6th tournament of the year was held at the Hub Bowling Center in Lunenburg, Mass. And with a score of 1251, she put the frosting on the cake of a wonderful season. Once again, from Weymouth, Mass., Joanne Rosano. Moving right along to the winners of the individual tournaments on the men's side. The first tournament, held at Academy Lanes in Bradford, Mass. The winner with a score of 1,360 was Mark Gregory of Beverly. The second tournament of the men's season, once again, this was held at the Lakeside Lanes in Manchester, New Hampshire. The winner with a fantastic score of 1428, Mike Poulin of Newington, New Hampshire. Third tournament of the season for the men, Vacation Lane Bowling Center, Saco, Maine. Winning score, 1427, bowler Mike Morgan, Lynn, Mass.
Too sweet!
In the next case, I think I'm correct that the bowler is not here. The 4th tournament was held at the Beverly Bowler Mat, once again dedicated to the memory of Hall of Famer Stacia Zernicke of Webster, Craig Holbrook, 1412. The 5th tournament, Bowling Acres, Peterborough, New Hampshire. The winner with a 1406, who was also in absentia, Chris Sargent. And the final tournament, I guess that means that maybe there's something about this. The last was certainly not the least. For even Joanne Rosano or Mike Morgan. Mike won again, this time with a 1433 at Hub Bowling Center in Lunenburg. And Mike, while you're up here, just because you are, no, not really. Mike broke the all-time high single on the Pro Tour with a score of 212 at that tournament in Saco, Maine, I believe, and that is a plaque to commemorate that.
Wow, are you kidding me?
Too sweet!
Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to announce the ladies and men who qualified for the prestigious Top 10 Club. This year for the women, on the ladies' side, the 1998-1999 Female Bowler of the Year on the WCBC Pro Tour, none other, Joanne Rosano, Weymouth, Mass.
You missed one.
Okay, and for the men, it took him a long time to get here, but he has arrived. The 1998-1999 season, the Men's Pro Bowler of the Year, my friend Mike Morgan, Lynn, Mass.
Have some of that blue magic there, baby.
That's a blue magic, baby.
Now I would like to impose upon Mary Ann Kelly to come forward with a very special award for someone very special and deserving. Mary Ann?
As many of you know, this was our first year functioning, or trying to function without Tony, and we now know how much work he really did behind the scenes. But I could go on all night, but I think I'll just read the plaque because I think it says it all. In appreciation, Tony Zernicke, Mr. WCBC. Any attempt to verbally express your importance to the WCPC is futile. Nonetheless, this effort is hereby offered. Invaluably, you have served the WCBC as our Secretary, Statistician, Tournament Director, and Public Relations Ambassador for the past 26 years. Your adherence to regulation and attention to detail has catapulted us from obscurity to recognition and respect. In fulfilling your many duties, you have demonstrated personal courage and dedication to our organization. Continuing with your job after the death of your beloved wife, Stacia, you demonstrated the fidelity and ethics that made you such a wonderful team. We know Stacia is both pleased and proud that you did so. Tonight we say thank you while we wish you good health and happiness for many years to come. With love, the past, present, and future members of the WCBC. I hope you get this. Goodbye.
Good job. All right.
Was he surprised?
Okay, we're getting ready to roll into more good stuff. First of all, I have a letter to read to you from someone who was unable to be with us but would like me to impart on his behalf the following. This is from Sil Angelotti, the owner of Pilgrim Lanes in Haverhill, Mass. Dear Mr. President, I regret that I am unable to attend tonight's dinner honoring some of the Pro Bowlers and other personalities who have made huge contributions over the years on behalf of the Candlepin bowling industry. Though I am unable to attend personally, you will notice that Pilgrim Lanes is well represented. We have been in the bowling business for more than 30 years. The highlight of those years came during the annual live shows, which originated at Pilgrim Lanes and featured the best of the best Candlepin bowlers. The host for those shows was none other than Don Gillis. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize Don Gillis, Bill Rubin, and the entire Channel 5 production crew for their professionalism in producing a first-class bowling show. For those of you who may not be aware, the weekly bowling telecasts, especially the season-ending live show, more often than not outrated all other major sports telecasts in the area. We at Pilgrim Lanes feel privileged and honored to have been a part of those productions. Needless to say, we enjoyed every minute of it and are ready to do it again. Sincerely, Sil Angelotti. I like his attitude. Without further ado, I will happily relinquish this microphone to someone who is here tonight, who was also part and parcel to the live shows, who was the host for a number of years on the highly rated and successful Candlepin Doubles show, and still maintains his position with Channel 5 in the sports department. In fact, he has to maintain it tonight, which is why we're going right along with this, Mr. Ed Harding.
Whoa. Have I heard anybody on the way through? By the way, one quick peek, all right? In fact, when I went to work today, I had shorts on. Cut off shorts. I went home and quickly threw the dog outside, grabbed a sandwich, and I hit the road. My wife said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to Uber." She said, "Can you put pants on before you go to Uber?" I said, "Why? I'm going with family, right? I don't need to do that." Would you all do me a favor? Can I hear one nice loud "get over"? I need one of those. I'll let you in on a little secret. And this rolled off the tongue one day after taping Candlepin Doubles, after hearing the audience, and then I get sucked up in it, and I'm going, "Get over, get over." And this Mo Vaughn was still with the Red Sox, and he hit a ball that was climbing, and I yelled, "Get him over!" And from that moment, I think it's a great yell. So I keep doing it. So if you ever hear it on television, that's why I say it. It's got bowling ties. It is my honor to be with you tonight. I was fortunate to be involved at the end of the bowling run on Channel 5. I do wish it was still on television, and I can tell you to this day, the phone calls that we get at the station, 3-1, why don't you have bowling anymore? So if the people who do research and all the audience analyses say that the audience isn't there, I say, well, you answer the phone on Saturday and Sunday, and then you tell me the audience isn't there for the show. I came in at the end, but I grew up in Newton, and I had a chance to watch it as I grew up. And of course, I watched Mr. Gillis, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But at the beginning, I had a chance to watch many stars who performed on television. And Don did a wonderful job of weaving the stories, but the true stars were you people, you folks who bowled, you folks who performed. And we want to play clips from Ed Zernike, Paul Berger, and Tommy Olster right now. Of course, Eddie had the 197 single, and Paul had the remarkable triple. And we're putting Olster on because only Don Gillis was on the show more often than me. Other than that, we couldn't think of a legitimate reason to put him on. So as the sports guy says, let's go to the tape.
There's no lights that come in.
I don't know what that means.
A little mood music.
Jeff Atkin.
You see Eddie?
Look at the jacket Don Gillis is wearing in the corner. See that?
Tic-tac-toe.
He has it out in the car, by the way.
2 strikes in a row. Both young bowlers have gone for 3 in a row. Here is Ed Zernike now going for 3 in a row. Oh, that was perilously close to a loss.
Hey, Ralph, you sleeping?
And he has 6 marks in a row. Here he goes, working on spare.
Hey, Gary, here's your shot.
What a day! He just looked over at me and said, I don't believe it. How about that? Half Worcester left, he comes right back and makes a spare. $250 in bonus money, going for 3. Look at that, he's already at 137 in the 8th.
Oh, look!
Zernike goes after it, and he's got it!
You would have made it. You would have made it. You would have made it anyway, Ed.
Now, Ed Zernike has 8 marks in a row, and you know only once has it ever happened before. Is the only man to ever come on our program in 21 years and have a mark in every single frame.
I got a wanna.
Nice string, Jeff.
Right now, Ed Zernike. 61. Here he goes. 161. What a string he has going for him right now. He's at 181 already.
Thanks for setting the pace.
181 already, and he has 2 to roll, and one of them is counting in 2 boxes. Also, he has 2 strikes in a row. This is worth you know what. Let's go. Okay, he didn't get the strike for the $1,000. He had 2 tries at it. But But now, if he gets this, he will have done it. He will have done it.
Hey, Jeff, how do you like it so far?
About as much as he did then. Oh, man. It's pretty cool.
There's more.
Just T.O. show.
Take a shot. Yeah, right there. Must be it's 4 minutes off against Braga.
Thomas working on a strike. First one is down. He has 2 strikes. And you know that 3 strikes pays an extra bonus of $1,000. And back 4 weeks ago, Tom Olsted did just that in his match against Billy Treacle.
What did he say?
Looking this one over very, very carefully.
Cake.
A piece of He has no idea.
Coolest in Seattle. Harry.
Consecutive marks here in the 3rd string. Almost working on a spare bonus ball. Another $50 in bonus money for Tom Olsted, up to $250 in bonus money. First bonus ball, that's in.
No explosion there, huh?
Who's he bowling against? Who's that guy? Oh, Don?
The 2 pin to convert for another mark and another $50 in bonus money.
It's down, Tom. You don't have to steer it.
$300 in bonus money right now. Now it's just a question of how much money will he make. And
60,000 is still counting.
7 consecutive weeks he has missed a 400 once. That was by 2 pins of 398.
You're terrible.
7 pin. And another $50 in bonus money. Up to 350, and of course he's already gone over 400.
Drop it down. Give me a call. Yeah.
8 more. Our high single, by the way, is a 197. $400 in bonus money.
Bonus money.
Plus the extra 100 for going over 400. He has 1 more bonus ball to roll. He's at 181 right now.
10.
Ties Jim Kelly. The 3 higher than that are Ed Zernike's 197, Jim Barber's 191, and Pete Iannuzzo's 190.
By the way, you can tell when Phil Rubin got the slow motion machine, couldn't you? It's halfway through that match.
Cookie, how do you like it so far? How do you like being in the record book, baby?
That's not too bad. I still got a shot.
Yeah, until the next block.
Look at with the
Tag.
My goodness.
Throw that hamburger, baby.
They would have been.
goes in his regular stays.
That's why I shaved it. I want no more 500s thrown at me.
Look at him. Look at you little fat kids.
Look at him, he's sitting there.
Look, he should be in Serbia.
Everything down except the four-pin, which rocked and rocked but didn't go. But he has it for a spare and another $50 in bonus money.
No, it's very good. They sing it
Drop a dime.
Watch, now I start clapping.
$500 in bonus money, and of course it's still alive. Already at 116.
I used to like you, Paul.
What we're looking at right now is our all-time men's high triple, which is 483 by Tom Olstad. Eight, and
Come on, Skippy. The skip loss.
$600 in bonus money so far.
61 pence went up really quick.
He doubled it.
Still got a shot?
He doubled it. Ted?
You still got a chance.
That's what I call getting your monkey spanked. Oh, Jesus, Paul.
That's a Tommy Ulster ball.
Make it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was then, this is now. Ed Zernike, Paul Berger, and Tommy Ulster. Come on up, gentlemen.
You really did it all, and there's an extra seat at our table tonight, and I know she's with us. He's probably going to get a little upset with me, but Thursday he's going for a little procedure to correct the irregular heartbeat, and all our prayers will be with him. And also, Stacey's sister, Jeanette, needs our prayers also, so just keep her in your thoughts. Okay, now to my speech. ABC's Wide World of Sports has a word, a phrase that says, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Well, every appearance to me was a thrill and never a defeat. Whether I won or lost, it just meant so much to me and my family that we were able to be there and that Channel 5 put on such a great show. And people used to say, you know, how can you get up there and bowl and do it? And I says it was a heck of a lot easier to bowl than it was to stand in back and watch my mom for all those years bowl and you root for her and you try and make things go and they wouldn't. But it was really easier to bowl than it was to stand in the back. I should also add that it was a lot easier to bowl when the guys were ready. And I think tonight I gave you guys a little bit of your own medicine by us being a little bit late, so you had to wait for us. very fortunate that I was able to do that string. To this day, I don't know how that 7-pin fell over.
You would have made it anyways, yeah.
Anyway, congratulations to all the bowlers that did well this year and won. And seeing that string, I don't know, I just might take them out again. I don't know.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, he's got a book. Oh, jeez.
Good evening. I'd like to add my thanks and appreciation to Tony Zernike for his many years of dedication to the WCBC and to Candlepin Bowling. I know you put a lot of time and effort into this organization, Tony, and you truly deserve the recognition you received tonight. I'm also honored to have the pleasure and privilege to be here to say a few words about Don Gillis, Phil Rubin, and all the crew at Channel 5, who made the Candlepin Bowling Show so successful. These guys made their way into more New England homes for lunch on Saturday than Boston baked beans. Talk about being nervous on TV. I'm shaking like a leaf up here. I'd rather be bowling, believe me. Yeah, well, you know.
That was good, though.
When Don Gillis said, "Hold on to your tray tables, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls," we all knew it would be a great show. When I first met Don Gillis, it was also my first appearance on the show, and I was 16 years old. That was quite a few years ago. I was a little apprehensive about meeting a TV personality, but Don was a regular guy and made me feel very comfortable, a true professional. Over the years, I've only admired him more. He was not only a TV personality, but a friend to all and encouraged each and every one of us who appeared on the show. He never changed. He never played favorites. I always had the feeling he wanted everyone to win. Even though he knew it was impossible, only a genuine person like Don could have captivated an audience and kept them coming back week after week for so many years. Thank you, Don, for all your encouragement, kind words, and most of all for your contribution to Candlepin Bowling. While Don was captivating the audience, Phil Rubin was behind the scenes making it all happen. Never quite figured out what he did in that truck during the show. I know he wasn't taking a nap because he had everything perfectly timed. However, I knew I threw off his timing when I bowled so fast. And Don had to fill in the end of the show with conversation with me. Thank you, Phil, for your part in making the show a success it was. Two others who had a hand in the show's success were Don Riley and Ralph Stewart. Don Riley and I have been friends since we first met on the Kids Bowling Show. We've had a lot of good times together. Don's responsibility as statistician was a very important part of the show. He kept track of everyone's appearance, scores, monies won, and other vital information about the bowlers. He was always on the ball. A little late sometimes, but always on the ball. Thanks, Don. I truly value our friendship. And Ralph Stewart didn't just wear flashy socks. He contributed a lot to the show. Being a log line judge has its drawbacks. Sometimes you have to make tough calls, knowing it could affect the outcome of the show. Ralph took his responsibilities seriously and was always fair. Thanks, Ralph, for your part in the show. We all love you so much. There's so many other people who work behind the scenes every week whose names I don't know, but their faces are familiar. We all know that without these people, there would not have been a show. I personally have a lot of fond memories of the show and all who were involved in making it possible. to steal a line from Bob Hope. Thanks for the memories.
Good evening. One of the problems with going third is just about everything you wanted to say has come out. So, no notes. I think I'm going to kind of take a page from something that Don Riley said earlier, and that was take a trip down memory lane. First for Don. In 1963, Don and I met. The show was Winning Pins. Don Gillis was the announcer. And Don sent me home very unhappy. It was overtime, but he still sent me home very unhappy. It would take 20 years to get even, but in that 20 years, Don and I became very good friends. And I also really, really enjoyed our friendship time. From behind the scenes, Ralph Stewart, Al Giglio, when you would arrive at a show, they would always come over and talk to you, make you feel comfortable, and as nervous as you were, they always made you laugh. They always had something to say that kind of loosened you up. And it was just a courtesy that they seemed to perform for every bowler. I'm not talking about just myself. So again, I've done a lot of thinking about the years that I was on the show, because it really was my bowling career. It was, from the age of 13 for about 20 years. I then, I kind of, after the Winning Pin shows, I had the opportunity to watch some very, very talented people, two of which are at my table, legends, Fran Honorato and Mike Sanic. I've kind of lost course here, but bear with me, okay? No notes. It took me a long time to get on Channel 5. I had 11 seconds and many years of frustration before I got on. Once I got on, and to kind of quote Tom, it was a wild experience, because you were meeting Don Gillis, who had been the anchor for sports and had interviewed people, like the Bobby Orrs, the John Havliceks, the Bill Russells, and here he was treating you just like that. I mean, you talk about real people and a real pro. That's Don Gillis. Speaking of getting back to Ralph a little bit, it wasn't just the socks, by the way. There were a lot of sweaters, too. Phil Rubin, I threw that 500, and I guess it really didn't even sink in as to what had happened to me, because, I had thrown it on, I guess it was like on March 16th, and just gone right back to work, and nobody had seen the show, obviously.
I did.
Except for Cookie. Phil did something that, in my opinion, is the definition of Phil Rubin. Not only was he the consummate professional who would greet you and talk to you before the show and after the show to thank you for coming on, whether you won or lost, but on that particular time, Phil actually sent me the tape of the 500 in advance with a note on it. I mean, no commercials in it, nothing. He hadn't done the work to get it ready for the viewing on May 2nd. He just sent it to me, and basically he said, you shouldn't have to wait to see this. And that to me is when I think about Phil Rubin, that's what I think about.
With the
There's someone today.
Cookie.
I got mine with a sympathy note.
I gotta tell you, when you're bowling something like that, the person you're bowling against can make it easier or harder for you. It has nothing to do with bowling. It has to do with the things they say. Cookie was 100% behind me, and that's credit to you.
Only halfway through the third game, you would. 150 people
People
behind
reminded
you.
me he had a double-digit lead after 4 boxes, and he couldn't hold the lead. Anyway,
Hey, I did have a lead, though.
Just to kind of wrap up, and again, I have been kind of all over the board. I apologize, because it's more from the heart than I can tell you. My career is over as a bowler. I miss it, and I miss the camaraderie of all the people that I know that are in this room, the other bowlers. I certainly miss Channel 5. I answer still probably, in the course of 3 or 4 months, probably 10 or 15 people will approach me, why is it not there? And I don't have an answer for that. It was the show. It was what everybody thought about doing when the year started. It's, I think, the driving force that made us all better than maybe we would have been had there not been a show like that. So I thank you personally.
Parade out one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Berger, Ed Donaghy, and Tommy Olsen. Give it up for your brothers. By the way, Paul, don't worry about it. It took me 12 years to get on Channel 5. So. The next phase, Paul and Tom and everyone you will hear talk tonight will talk about not only those who stand in front of the camera, not only those that you see, the bowlers or the announcers, or, by the way, Ralph had his job on the loud line just because that was in the screen of the camera all the time. No matter what camera was always shooting forward. Ralph, you're the smart guy. But there are a lot of people who make a television program possible, people that you just can't imagine. For the one that you see, there are 52 in the line, and we'd like to take this moment to just acknowledge those who participate in the program, those who are here tonight. And I'll read what one of the plaques says, and then I'll read each of the names. The WCBC wishes to acknowledge, insert name here, for the role that you played in the success of the Channel 5 Candlepin bowling program. As we celebrate and share memories of the show, we thank you for your contributions on its behalf. Bill Freewald. Bill, by the way, is accompanied by his lovely wife, Kay Maxey. Skip Peabody, who has the Channel 5 shirt on. Skip, by the way, is accompanied by the very lovely Al Giglio. You make a lovely couple, too. Howie Rouse. Howie, we have one for you. Well, he's got a jacket on, he's got his hair combed, he's got his hand on the back of his pants. Jim Michelle. The other half of the lovely Skip Peabody is the lovely Al Giglio. And don't forget it. I should tell you a little secret. Every day I go into work, Al greets me at the stairs and said, they're bums. He's talking about the Red Sox, By the way, the Red Sox lost to the Mets today, 4-2. They're bums, right, Al? This is what I'm getting, right? Here, hold that over there, Mary. Oh, Joanne Panto. Thank you for your assistance. Never been assisted by such capable and lovely an assistant as I am. You want to get there? The news is on at 11, so you want to come back and take care of all that stuff. There are just a handful of presentations left, and we'd like to begin the final approach, as a pilot might say, with the awards to those who we've come here to say thank you to as part of the family. And again, I'd like to read what's on the plaque so you probably know, but do share in the sentiment that's on it. As, I suppose I should read it because I was going to hold the name for the end, but it's in the middle of the sentence. This is presented to Ralph Stewart as a loud line judge and referee for about 25 years in the case. By the way, you can give it up for him. That's all right. That's allowed here. There are no rules. For about 25 years in the Candlepin Bowling Show, your class and fairness was well recognized by the show's many participants. Tonight, the WCBC pays tribute to your years of dedicated and professional service to the game we all enjoy so much. In the year 1999, to Ralph Stewart, who was so kind to leave the islands and participate in our evening tonight. You know, he looks so wonderful, so tan, so relaxed, sartorially splendid, Ralph. You know, between Ralph and I, you got some pair of legwear tonight, huh? You know, in my business, you get lucky to trip across people who are just at the top of their game. I will tell you that there's a fella connected with the Boston Bruins by the name of Nate Greenberg, who you don't know. He's right now Harry Sinden's assistant. He is probably as connected to the game of hockey as anybody you would find, and you just don't know him. You know of Bobby Orr, and you know of Wayne Gretzky, but if you ever need anything done, I contact Nate. This next fellow falls in the same category. In bowling, if I had a question, in fact, there was one time I called you, Don, to get a name and to get some information, and that man turned me on to it in seconds. This man is an encyclopedia. This is presented to Don Riley. The WCBC wishes to thank you for your many years of dedication to the Channel 5 Candlepin Bowling Show. Your knowledge of the game and its competitors proved ever so valuable. Tonight, as we celebrate and relive the many moments of the show, we look back on the many special times that we spent with you in the sport of Candlepin bowling. And just to show you what kind of a professional Don is, the 2 brief years or so that I did the double show, I'd show up, and Don would have all the notes, all organized, and they're all written out. And when I walked in the door tonight, he had all the notes, all organized, and all written out. Ladies and gentlemen, Don Riley. Don't you love the hair? I love the hair. The aerodynamically coiffured Don Riley. That's as opposed to the electrostatically coiffured Don King. Those of you who haven't done television are deprived of one great experience in life. There's a little device that we wear in our ears, and it's called an IFB. And many people have different terminologies for it, and I know it as an intermittent feedback, but it's a matter by which those in the production truck can talk to the person who's on the air, and you can't see it. You can't see a device by the ear. You can't hear the conversation, and it's meant solely for you. And you haven't lived until this guy has spoken into your ear. Phil Rubin right now is very much connected to what we do at Channel 5. He's an online director. He does the news. He does what we call pre-production. He's a very active and an important part of what we do in the news. But my first experience with him was in the Candlepin Bowling Show, and I have worked with many directors, and none better than Phil. We are proud to present tonight to Phil Rubin, the producer and director of the Candlepin Bowling Show. Your years of dedication and enthusiasm served as catalysts for the show's overwhelming success. Tonight, the WCBC salutes your efforts and wishes you continued success and happiness in the years ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, Phil Rubin. What was it? Whoa, 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 whoa. Where are you going, Three? Whoa, 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 where are you going, Three?
He's still talking in your ear.
He still talks like that, by the way. Okay, thank you for coming. We're all done. Have a good night. We have more? Ladies and gentlemen, grab hold of your tray tables. We're going for a ride. I have it on good authority that the next person has more holes in one than strikes in the game of bowling. But no one has struck more in importance in television or in any sport than Don Gillis.
The Candlepin bowling display. You ought to see it sometime if you haven't. Now, I'm also here to thank all of you who have watched and all of you who have participated in Candlepin bowling. It's been a long, beautiful ride, 37 and a half years, and you're well aware of the fact, I guess, that this is going to be the very last show which you're about to see. And thanks. We really appreciated your watching us all these years.
And you don't know this, but as an aside to all of this, the number one, the hero in my life is my father. The most influential person in my life is my father. But the reason I'm in the business is because of Don Gillis. I watched him as a young man growing up in Newton. I enjoyed the job that he did, so much so that I've never missed a show. And I remember turning to my daddy when I was 11 years old and say, "Daddy, I'm going to do that." And one of the great thrills I ever got was to do a show with him. And I don't keep many autographs on my wall at home. I have one from Bob Knight, who once almost punched me out. That's another story for another day. One from Bill Parcells, who also almost punched me out one night. But that's another story for another day. One from Paul Newman and one from Don Gillis. We're presenting this to Don Gillis tonight as the primary spokesperson and driving force behind the successful phenomenon known as Candlepin bowling. You brought happiness and enjoyment into New England households for close to 40 years. Your congenial personality and insightful knowledge of the sport of Candlepin bowling combined to enhance the talented exploits of the show's many contestants. Regardless if someone was making their first appearance or was a regular performer on the show, you always managed to make each bowler feel special as they enjoyed their hour of celebrity. Tonight, the WCBC celebrates the time that we have known and enjoyed you. Moreover, we wish you wellness and happiness in your retirement. Ladies and gentlemen, Don Gillis.
Candlepin bowling being very good to me. Yes. You know, I love doing the Candlepin bowling program, and I love all the people I met on it. Gosh, you were the nicest people. I did interviews and talked to a lot of people in sports, and there weren't many that were as nice as you people, believe me. And I want to say that, you know, I was just thinking about Candlepin bowling and how successful it was for us. And just for the heck of it, I looked up in the book to see when did it all begin. And actually, a guy named Justin Poch White in Worcester bought a pool hall, and there was a little bowling alley beside it, only it was the big balls and the big pins. And they were not making much money. Not many people were playing it at that particular time, so he said, maybe I can come up with something else. And he experimented, and finally got to the point where he was actually sewing broom handles and making little small pins and a small ball. And another guy named Jack Monson came along to help him. Well, you know now, 110 years later, what we have. And we're all proud of it, too, aren't we? A great game.
Now, you know that I was on the program from, I guess I was on maybe the third or fourth program. Jim Britt did the first four. Program was live then. How did I come on the program? Well, Jim lived down in Scituate, and when they saw the snowflakes coming, they suddenly said, management said, oh God, supposing he can't make it. And so they created a position for me. And I was delighted to be on it, so I guess with the exception of about the first 3 months until that last show, I was on it for about 38 years. And in that time, I met, so many wonderful people, and I have great memories, and it's so great to see you all here, and I guess I was lucky that I didn't make too many mistakes, but I do remember one in particular. Remember when we used to have the home viewer problem? That was when you people sent, or other people would send in a problem, and if the bowler were able to make the particular thing, then the person who sent it in, would get a little prize, and the big prize, or whatever it was at that particular time, would go to the bowler. So I said, after our bowler champion had made it, well, our home viewer who sent in the problem receives the cross pen and pencil set, and our newlywed champion, Al Lacey, gets a brand new organ which he can use to entertain his bride. You do not forget things like that. But actually being a sportscaster, you can do something like that so easily. For example, Chris Schenkel was at the Hula Bowl, and Bud Wilkinson was with him, and the camera was panning around, and then suddenly Schenkel said, Bud, isn't that the girl that gave us a lay just before the game? Oh, well. I play a little golf now. Very little, not very well. Jack Whitaker, another announcer, at one time doing a golf tournament, said very quietly, Billy Casper is having trouble today with long putts, but having no trouble at all dropping his shorts. We announcers, and you may be aware of the fact that I did have an opportunity to do play-by-play of all of the professional teams in Boston over a while. And when you're doing things like that, you can say something that when you really are trying to please the audience, to give them some information. And my good friend Ken Coleman was very much aware of the fact that people used to, well, of course, when it came to the ballpark, you could get your program and you could score the game if you wanted to. And some people used to like to do that, to get the scorecards and have them at home. And so it was kind of late one evening, and after the play, Ken said, okay, that was a little complicated, so I'm going to go over it again for you folks who are scoring in bed right now. When I was doing the Red Sox, that happened to be the year that Gowdy was in the hospital for a long time after an auto accident, so I got a chance to work with Bob Murphy. And he told me the story. I didn't actually hear this, but he told me this story because I think it was the first time we were in Baltimore, and I was remarking about the different things about the city, and he said, yeah. He said, did you hear the time what Kurt was talking about that? And I said, no, what was it? He said, well, Kurt turned to me and said, man, they have great food here in Baltimore. They have those crab cake, and they have crab flakes, and they have crab this and crab that. I'll tell you, there must be 100 different ways to get crabs here in Baltimore. And wonderful Johnny Most, huh? Yes. Well, he was very conscious of the people that were loyal fans, and he decided that one of the loyal fans he had heard was not feeling well, and he said, I want to say hello to that Celtic fan, Harvey Levitt. He's in the Winthrop Hospital with a ruptured dick. I had a pretty good one myself. I used to do a baseball scoreboard radio show about 5 minutes of 6. And the day before at Fenway Park on a Sunday, this was a Monday when I did this, Jim Bunning had pitched a no-hitter. And so I was giving a little sidebar about Mrs. Bunning. They had several children, and she was in the car. And I said she was driving around listening to the game. And as it got further and further into the game, and he still had the no-hitter, he almost crapped up the car. Well, most of my career, of course, was in television news, and things happen. Chet Curtis still loves to tell this one on himself. It was Christmas, and he came on the air and said, "Good evening. Pope Paul today issued his annual plea for pleas." All right, just one more here. Do you remember the old days when, like, a weatherboard would have the things that were on it, but it was metal, and then they had little magnetic things where you could make an FOG or RAIN, etc., and so forth? Well, I don't remember whether it was Ted Miller or not, but one of our guys turned around and looked, and the letter F had fallen off, and he said, "Oops. Well, as you can see, we have no F in fog tonight." That's it. That's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Don Gillis. By the way, do you have another round of applause for Kathy? Kathy, can you just say, hey, this is the lovely Kathy? Since Don was mentioning stories, you triggered one in my mind. As God is my judge, I heard this. I lived in Minnesota, and the radio announcer for the Minnesota Twins is going,
One Don. His knowledge of the sport always seemed on. A spear, a strike, a 7-10 split. Reserved or excited, his style a hit. In a class of his own, the ultimate host. And just like me,